So Rugby World Cup's quarterfinals begin, and Scotland almost traditionally kick away from the forwards to begin this match. And Gavin Hastings, who may play a big part in the play from the Watsonians club in Edinburgh, the big kick to begin with, and that's one they usually start with, so that the opposition kick back to them. And that will be done by New Zealand's number 10, Grant Fox. Deflected by Gary Wetton onto the New Zealand side. There's the New Zealand captain, David Kirk, with the high ball. Right under it and waiting is Hastings. He's put it out on the full, so Hastings has had a steady start with the kick-off and the catch, but not good in the kicking department.
No, he would have wished that he had kept that in, because you like always in that first few minutes to do everything dead right, and that will have upset him slightly, particularly with the pressure on in this game.
So at the back for Scotland, number 7 is Finlay Calder, away to the right. Scotland in the dark blue. New Zealand, remember, playing in all white today. Sean Fitzpatrick throws. Kirk. Fox, he's found Fox. This is Warwick Taylor, late tackle. Oh no, back at the line out it was. Ian Paxton, number 8, is penalised. The early penalty goes to New Zealand. And I think the replay may show a late tackle on David Kirk, but they'll also look as though there might have been one out on Grant Fox.
Yes, it was certainly getting late on Grant Fox too.
So this is big Ian Paxton. With him is big Ian Milne, and here is Grant Fox. And that's the halfway line behind him.
I would suggest that this is almost at the far range of Fox's kicking ability. It's just about 3 yards inside the Scottish half.
Remember, Grant Fox is the man who has a set breathing pattern, a set rhythmical step back from the ball. Any tension or tightness in his body, he shakes out through his fingers. So he was tight on that one, and Gavin Hastings in the game again with a fair catch down out from his goal line. So not a good beginning there for Fox. He was underneath that ball. It seemed to spin end and end, hinting that he was underneath the ball, maybe teed it up a bit too high. And there's another wobbly one from Hastings heading back to the touchline.
He's certainly not timing it well yet. There's a fair bit of pressure on him.
First look into the grandstand, the New Zealand coach Ryan Lahore, the non-playing New Zealand team members there. It's outside the 22. Well, that's a good take at the front from Steve McDowell. Shelford, corner flag coming up. And Alan Wetton very close to scoring in the corner. What a good start for the All Blacks.
Yes, that was quick thinking. And that's just the start they needed.
No score in the match, but the first chance coming, perhaps, for the New Zealand team. Deflected to Laidlaw. And Roy Laidlaw, the halfback, a veteran of 42 internationals, elected to kick from that very tight situation behind his own goal line. Scotland still hard up in defence. New Zealand have it. Corner flag is up top right in your picture. Coming for Kirk. Fox. Taylor. Kerwin. Loose ball. Number 12 is John Rutherford. Just really standing there.
No, they got mixed up there a wee bit. No one really knew quite what was on. And that again is tension.
Scottish front row on this side. David Soul, Ian Milne on the far side, Colin Deans between them. Kirk running wide to Gallagher, the running fullback. Again, good position for New Zealand. John Drake coming away, but scrum called. Maybe they lost it forward in there.
Yes, that's what he suggested. They're back to gamesmanship again in this front row, as you can see. Shoving over the mark. Won't sit steady. And these front rows hate giving away even a yard at this point, particularly at this stage of the game too.
It's John Drake on the near side against David Soul. Now you can be penalised for charging in, but referee Burnett's just sorting it out. Fitzpatrick, the New Zealand hooker, McDowell on the far side. That's the word, really. No concession in the front rows, and neither side will want to give away. Scotland have a very fine scrum indeed. Wales felt it in the last Five Nations Championship. 6 minutes gone. Scotland holding a big shove. Paxton caught by Kirk. Number 6 is Turnbull, the new man. And a defensive penalty. Hands in there. You can see that's the signal from referee Bennett.
Yet I felt that the other Scottish player, the blindside flanker, should never have dived in there once he was on the ground. He was going into the 1 yard area, as we say in this country.
So this is what it's all about. Down to the last 8 teams in Rugby's World Cup. New Zealand against Scotland. Live from Lancaster Park in Christchurch. There's Steve McDowell, who got a good ball at the front early on. Murray Pearce behind. Then Drake bending over. Gary Whitten. On the New Zealand side, Derek White is number 4 for Scotland. Fox to Warwick Taylor at halfway. Joe Stanley going crashing back in the centre. Paxton, see the Scottish forwards were holding off there. Look at Shelford again. Blindside, Kirk. The little push out for the left wing side.
Oh, that was good play there by New Zealand, particularly by Shelford. He's going in low, and actually the New Zealand forwards are driving in a lot lower than the Scots. And it makes a big difference when you're trying to get forward like that. And that's what provided the good ball, and I thought it was a good option by Fox to chip over the top then too from that ruck.
Well, the injury is to Scotland's hooker and captain Colin Deans. Already he is the most capped hooker from any country in rugby, with his 52nd international today. No score in the match. 9 minutes of play.
Come on, get in! Get in!
Fitzpatrick thrown Whitten. Bobble ball. Becomes a little bit of a lottery there, and there was a knock on. Scotland put in.
It was interesting to note from that lineup, it's just finished, that the New Zealand backline were very deep to attack.
Laidlaw, Scotland still in defence. The early moments territorially favour New Zealand. Gavin Hastings. Well, he's as big as a number 8 forward, isn't he? At 15 stone and 6'2", that's 96 kilograms and 1 metre 88. Gavin Hastings.
New Zealand is still very deep out of your picture here on the left. The backs, that is.
Okay, so they want to run it. No, it's a high hoist for Hastings. Taylor, who makes a speciality of being up under the kicks. Laidlaw behind the 22.
Excellent play by Hastings. Just never took his eyes off the ball.
So see the way those New Zealand backs are lining out a quick throw in. No, that's the thing that has got to be watched for from the New Zealanders. Scotland tend to take the quick kickoffs and the tricky kickoffs. We have the line-out speciality of that, Earl Curtin.
Well, it means that psychologically we're a wee bit worried about them in the line-out, so we've gone for options and variations, and so we should.
On halfway, Whitten number 5, that's Gary Whitten. It's untidy ball again. Tomes back to Wiley. That was Craig Green, the New Zealand left winger. You hear the applause in the crowd. He's one of the 2 Canterbury men today. but it's coming for Roy Laidlaw. Keith Robertson. Tate is number 13. Robertson. Kicked wide and out on the full.
Yes, but they still maintained their ground, and that's what Scotland were after there. It was a good win on that ruck for Scotland. It's rare that you see New Zealand take it in and lose it.
So there he is at the front. He often calls out to the opposition knocker to hurry up and get it in. Soul against McDowell at the front behind them. The blonde man to the right is White. So there's big Ian Milne. There's the clearance, a kickful position from Grant Fox.
Pearce is doing very well at the front of the lineouts. He's not actually taking two hands, but he's taking good deflections. That is number 2 back in the lineup. Here he is here with the sweatband.
Deans. Oh, Paxton lost it onto the New Zealand side. Taken in by Alan Wetton. Kirk to Sean Fitzpatrick. It's good bustling stuff from Sean Fitzpatrick and David Kirk. They're the clubmates from Auckland, from the University Club.
I think he's rather surprised to get it there. He's just a wee bit high when he drove in. Yes, that was definitely a fair call. Wetton lay all over Paxton there.
Wetton. That's Turnbull, the new man, through. Oh, he had a big chance to make good ground there. Whether they didn't see that apparently lost forward.
Yes, Burnett did miss that knock forward by the Scots. No, he hasn't. To give him his credit and due, he's come back. The first knock on. Well played, Burnett.
Referee Dave Burnett from Ireland. All the referees from the 4 home unions are being used for these quarterfinals. Still no score in this Rugby World Cup quarterfinal. Wayne Shelford off the bat. His opposite number 8 is Ian Paxton. It's there for Kirk. Kerwin closing on Hastings. So too is Taylor. He's under most high kicks when he's playing. And Taylor is down, number 12. Took a bump. Let's see what Roy Laidlaw can do. Now to Wiley. Keith Robertson. Tate is left out. Hastings is up and through. Deflected by Green. Near halfway, David Kirk. And Wiley it is who comes across and puts it out. This is Doug Wiley, who came into the Scottish team this year as a centre, but he's got the enormous job because that number 10 jersey for Scotland has been in combination when John Rutherford's worn it with Roy Laidlaw 34 times. And this is the first major game Scotland have contemplated without that tremendous combination of Roy Laidlaw and John Rutherford.
Yes, they've certainly been a marvellous force in European rugby. And the Scots really will miss Rutherford. It's not that Wiley plays poorly, he plays well. Rutherford has just that extra bit of flair and bit of pace. It's interesting too that you notice that New Zealand scrum is going far better in this early period than I believe they were capable of. The tight 5 must be playing very well to be giving Scotland stick at this time of the game. Great effort.
Warwick Taylor seemed to come down uncomfortably under that high kick, but he is now restored, it seems. Back for the New Zealand put in. No score in this match and 15 minutes of play. So it's a quick heel, straight past Shelford to Kirk. Away to Fox. Taylor left out Rats rather sensibly. Gallagher up from fullback. That's halfway. Here's Taylor. It's down there. and that's against David Soul. And David Soul,
I think might have been giving it a bit of the old Scarpa there.
that's right. So now let's look at the situation, the discussion here between Kirk and Fox will kick for goal again. That's the position for the second attempted goal from Fox. Well, this is the first close-up view we have of Grant Fox today. Incredible performance in the Rugby World Cup. He's averaging over 23 points per game. He equaled the world record. He has this business of breathing, certain number of breaths on the way back, certain number of steps, exactly the same each time, and then the shaking of the hands at the back, just touching his shorts sometimes, just to relieve the tension that might be tingling within him. Grant Fox, second attempted goal today. Well, he's short for the second time, and Hastings makes the clearance. Well, really, they're right on the extent of his range, aren't they, Curtin? And he hasn't looked like hitting it right yet.
No, he's actually quite tense. He's not really striking the ball well, even though they're going short. He's not really hitting them well yet. And maybe he's too frightened to hit it too hard anyhow, because we know these mitre balls don't carry as well when you punch them.
Again, short to McDowell at the front. Oh, that one was nudged by David Kirk and lost forward. A chance for Scotland. And here is a surprise. Boon-Me McCarhill down on the sideline, warming up for New Zealand. Looks like Warwick Taylor could be in a bit of bother. He might have given the message that he might be in strife. Oh, look at that on the far side. Now here's trouble. Well, I think the Scottish team took exception. Well, there you are. See, it's all mates, really. David Soul, number one, helped Drake up. It looked like an all-in brawl there for a minute, but really it was the New Zealanders, I think, annoying the Scots for pushing over the mark. Let's see what the two Irish referees here, Steve Hilditch on the right, in discussion with Dave Burnett. Let's see what they come up with here. Colin Dean's looking anxious. This is the longest discussion I've seen over the flag being out in the World Cup. Let's have a look now. Kirk and Deans from referee Burnett.
Actually, I thought it was just a flashpoint. I just think they pushed the Scottish scrum back. It was a good scrum from New Zealand, and they fell over and they got upset.
Okay, he's going to introduce him to someone. No, he's just pointed to the man. And it's a penalty against the New Zealand team. Here it is, and I think when the whistle went from the referee, the New Zealand team pushed on. Now let's have a look in there and see if somebody got any problems. And then there was this bit of nudging and carrying on, but it seemed to be a lot of arms and legs and limbs waving, nothing really connecting. The penalty has been kicked up to this new set position in this quarter-final, and the first quarter of the match is nearly over. So Warwick Taylor, now that is a sad sight. He came down very heavily underneath that high kick just 2 or 3 minutes ago, and a very disappointed man, a disappointment for him and the New Zealand team and the big Canterbury crowd, one of the 2 Cantabrians in the team today. So number 16, Boon-Me McCarhill, will come on. So New Zealand doing pretty well in the early lineouts. They're ahead by 6-2 and cleanly won line-out ball in the first quarter of the match. Jones gets to run for the first time, really opening out. Referee Burnett says play on. Shelford. That's halfway. Kirk. The man was offside. The referee has seen the Scotsman. I think it was Turnbull. But he's allowed advantage to be played, I think, and because the kick was so good.
Yes, he did. It was good again, good refereeing.
So coming on for his second international is Auckland's Boon-Me McCarhill. is 22 years of age from the Marist club, replaces Warwick Taylor.
29-46. Drive! Drive!
No score in this very tight test match. Finlay called it. Penalty to New Zealand, and this one is in a much more advantageous position, you see. Third kicker goal coming up for Grant Fox. Much more comfortable angle. You can see how flat and smooth this turf at Lancaster Park is. It really is just like a bowling green. Fox now will just need the little dink shot this time with his kick. Grant Fox puts New Zealand on the board. After 20 minutes, they lead by 3 points to 0. Soak's cross on the Scottish side. Just a moment of contemplation there from their manager, Bob Munro. And Hastings to restart. Gavin Hastings just landed inside the in-goal area. Back he goes. Very big boot. And that's an indication of just how far he could kick the ball in a penalty goal attempt situation. But Earl Curtin, it's been a very tight test match. We haven't seen any back play of any consequence at all.
No, we've seen the New Zealanders try to spin it, but they've been really knocked over when they have done it.
Kirk back to Fox. So that's pushed Grant Fox up to 76 points in test matches. Now this is just his 5th international. He's well on target to land 100 in a very short time indeed. We just heard that Warwick Taylor is off with a badly bruised shin. And David Soul through into Finlay Calder, number 7, to Ian Paxton. Scotland in good position here. Soul again, number 1. Roy Laidlaw loves to run the narrow side.
The lineouts are very untidy up until now, and even though New Zealand's been winning most of them, very, very scrappy, and it's making it a hard ball for Kirk. And we tend to be too loose towards the back too, which is unusual for New Zealand side.
Fitzpatrick thrown to Wetton. Fox. McCarhill touches for the first time. That's his wiper's kick, which has gone to land. Hastings, who likes to bring the ball forward. John Gallagher, the opposite fullback. Little left foot one up. Keith Robertson, number 12. Got his kick away. Okay, Bernie McCarthy does look like Warwick Taylor from a distance. Just a fraction taller, and that's his kick back towards halfway.
Watch what we call the nudging in this line-out. Very interesting stage of the game in line-outs.
Won by Murray Pearce that time. Low and nicely picked up by Fox on the half volley. Here's Craig Green through on Hastings. Beautifully taken down by Kirk. Carried on by McDowell. That's the 22. Laid back for Kirk. Oh, Fox knocked it on. His drop kick attempt. They're going to play to the whistle. But the referee's gone back and awarded a penalty kick to the All Blacks. It must have been for the offside of the Scottish backs. And Fox will have an easy attempt at goal. We may have to check and look at that one again. But the ball was coming back to Kirk out to Fox, and it was nudged forward, but the referee was looking elsewhere. Here it is again. Let's see if we can see those Scottish backs. Yes, you see, Wiley was right up ahead of the referee, and the referee had seen that, and the others too. So again, we have to say good refereeing, Earl Curtin.
He's made an excellent fist of it, and it's been very difficult because it's been scrappy too in these first 20 minutes.
So the injured player again is Colin Deans, one of the great rugby personalities of the Hoyk club, and he took a bump earlier on. And he won't want to leave the field, the man. That's the Scottish doctor checking him. And Dean's okay, but that's interesting. There's obviously a check of whether he was feeling 100%.
Yes, well, our hooker, Fitzpatrick, is not too well either. He seems to have a bit of blood splattered around as well, so it's tit for tat.
There is Fitzpatrick, number 2. You can't see it, but there's blood on his face. .24 minutes gone. So Fox's kick is over, and New Zealand now lead by 2 Fox penalties to 0. So there he is, from the borders of Scotland, down by the English borders, from the Hoyt club, where they really play rugby hard and tough. And it'll take a lot of knocks and beating around before Colin Deans leaves the field. As I say, no other hooker in the history of the game has played more international than this man, and he is one of the great men of Hoyt rugby, along with people like Jim Rennick, who's been out here. He was the Scottish caps record holder till Deans equalled it today. Laidlaw off the big bear. Ian Milne. He got tipped backwards. Laidlaw out to Wiley. Wiley nudges through. And that's a good kick by Doug Wiley. That's the Scottish management, Ian McGeechan to the left and Derek Grant, the coaches of the Scottish team, and they'll be delighted. This is their best position so far.
This is the first time they've been in a really attacking position.
Fitzpatrick. Number 4 is Pearce. Awkward again for David Kirk, getting a tough time from his line-out men. Sad sight, Warwick Taylor sitting dejected in the stand.
I could hear Kirk yell then, it wasn't good enough, the skips, and it wasn't either. Got to be tidier ball than that from line-outs, otherwise New Zealand are going to be in this sort of trouble.
Well, that one's a bit of a mess, and it'll be a new restart. And the applause, I think, is for New Zealand footing.
Yes, I think it's relief.
So Fox to the left, position perhaps for the clearance. Hello, a penalty against the New Zealand front row for pulling at the position of the scrum, not letting it go down and settle properly. And here is a chance for Gavin Hastings now to come in to the ball game.
Well, it's all stemming from lineouts. It really has to be a lot tighter. We have to, that is, New Zealand will have to be a lot tighter, and particularly in the front ball, so as they control it more. Kirk was very unhappy with it. 2 or 3 of those balls had been played back to him.
So there he is, the New Zealand captain, David Kirk. Doesn't look too pleased at the moment. Here's Gavin Hastings. His goal-kicking style is quite simple. 3 steps back, 2 to the left, and then 1 backwards before he comes in. Scotland are on the board. New Zealand 6, Scotland 3. It's all penalties. Remember, this is knockout rugby. Miss and you're out. Lose and these All Blacks are headed home. Win and they're on to the semi-finals in Brisbane next weekend. And it's a very close rugby international so far. Scottish forwards have done rather well in the last few minutes. Fox kicks out after nearly half an hour play. Taken in by Derek Turnbull, the new cap, also from the Hoyt Club. There is Turnbull, a logical progression for him up into the Scottish internationals. He's been Scottish B and Scotland on tour. Derek Turnbull now making his international debut. Roy Laidlaw back to Gavin Hastings.
That was a good New Zealand scrum again. There's plenty of pressure on.
Wait here, Sully.
81, 22, 81.
More steps.
David Kirk would be hoping for cleaner ball from these lineouts. That one's gone on the Scottish side. Roy Laidlaw. The referee back at the lineout. They crossed the line of touch before or during the throw. Players who weren't actually jumping for the ball, so that is a penalty for New Zealand and another chance for Fox to make it out to the 6-point gap again.
I actually think that the Scottish have gone in with a plan that they're not really going to jump for the ball most of the time. They seem to be dead set on racing through the line-out and disrupting the New Zealand ball behind the line-out, which isn't a bad move. They've obviously thought that that's one way of upsetting New Zealand, but at the same time, some of them are obviously getting offside, Keith, and then they're being pinged for it by Burnett.
Well, of course, Scotland had problems with their line-up and the 5 nations in the line-out because they, at one stage, played 5 number 8 forwards in the line-out because they lacked a really big man. Toombs wasn't playing in that series. So, Grant Fox now trying to make it 9-3 to New Zealand. Hastings again away to that far side where most of the game's been played, and he's found the line almost back up where the penalty was taken. So let's look at this line out again and see about Earl Curtin's theory. The New Zealand backs are lined out as though they want to run.
Yes, they're very deep. You can't quite see them. Here we are now. Look how deep they are. I think that's far too deep from a line out. Conceding too much ground, too far away from the advantage line.
Oh, Finlay Calder through, knocked it forward. McCahill, advantage may apply. Bernie McCahill. Craig Green. Alan Wetton. That's the corner flag. A great run there by Bernie McCahill. Advantage applied, and he was looking just like McGinty as he raced through there. That's the famous racehorse his father owned. And what a run by McCahill. Nearly set up New Zealand's first try. Corner flag is in the background. Laidlaw back to Hastings. And he's just eased it out to about 10 metres short of the goal line.
Where will New Zealand throw this ball? I don't reckon they'll risk the end of the line-out. I think they'll throw it short and try and drive over.
46.
So Fitzpatrick has many variations on his throws. They threw it for Alan Wetton, but it was snaffled by Ian Paxton. That's him, number 8. Watching for the referee's signal, but there wasn't one. A line-out infringement in there. So he is a difficult customer, Ian Paxton. That's him there towards the back. In front of him, number 5 is Alan Toombs. In front of him is Derek White. Sorry, Turnbull's in front of Toombs. They're mixing the lineup up. They're playing the big bear towards the back. And I guess that's sensible tactics. They'll curtain to mix it around.
He says it gets hard to find out who you're actually marking. But Paxton's going well at the end of the line out, and he's going to be a thorn in New Zealand's side, because every time we get deep down into their territory, you need that ball from from the end of the line out to score tries, basically.
Laidlaw. New Zealand scrum has done well. They've wheeled it away, or nearly did. But Watson, who's kicked the ball a lot in defensive situations, has pushed it outside the 22 this time.
Well, you can see again how deep the New Zealand back line is. They're coming back almost 45, 50 yards.
Michael Jones up to the 22. Let's see where it is. It's there for Kirk. Now, are they running? McCahill left out. Joe Stanley running back into the minefield. Inside the 22. Laid up again for Kirk on the narrow side. Shelford. Scottish players went in over the top, including one after the referee awarded the penalty.
Yes, that's what they're tending to do. They're diving into what we call the 1 yard area. But by Joe's was a marvellous tackle by Calder on Buck Shelford when he moved round on that blind side. They've got big hearts, these Scots. They bowl anything that moves.
There is Finlay Calder. We talked about brothers in rugby the other day. Here's another man whose twin brother played 27 internationals for Scotland on the open side flank, and Finlay Calder was playing in the same club team on the blind side. And finally the selectors rang him and said, we want you on the open side. So Finlay Calder came in, replaced his twin brother in the Scottish team. That's been bothering Sean Fitzpatrick these last few minutes. Thoughts go up to the grandstand there, because we have a reserve hooker sitting in the grandstand for New Zealand. So near half-time, here is Grant Fox. Well, the points keep coming from Grant Fox. So Dalton in the stand looking at the condition of the man on the field, I guess. Sean Fitzpatrick, they've been looking at that cut. Doesn't look too bad. It's underneath the eye, you see. I'll bet you he's just itching to get back onto the field. 38 minutes of play. New Zealand leading by 6 points again in a match where there's only been penalty goals so far. Kirk. Now John Kerwin, he's been a bit unemployed out on the right wing, and so has his opposite number, Ivan Tukolo. Matt Duncan on the other side. The wingers have hardly been in the ball game. Derek White and Ian Paxton. Jones running for the middle. Finlay called it. There it is for Laidlaw. Back to Wiley. Wiley with the drop kick. Not a bad little snap by Doug Wiley, but it's just wide.
Yes, he was well balanced and he timed it and just pushed it a wee bit to the right.
So this is kicked down to Ivan Tukolo, and he gets to handle the ball for the first time in the international. Here he is, Ivan Tukolo, getting up speed, coming to halfway. Got away from Michael Jones. Knocked down this time by Gary Wetton. The big bear picks it up, Ian Milne. Scotland driving through. Laidlaw swinging it right. Wiley, Robertson, knocked down by McCahill.
Well, the Scots certainly had 5 on 3 there, but again, McCahill got him very quickly to knock that ball down, and Robertson delayed slightly as he tried to swing his hips to get it away, and it was a fatal in effect.
Well, there was a line-out when New Zealand didn't jump, Earl Curtin.
Exactly.
Right on half-time, the line-out throw is going to be taken again with the Scottish throw. Picked up by Michael Jones. Oh, lovely handoff of Wiley. That's the goal line ahead. Kirk, away to Fox, to McCahill, to Stanley. Gallagher left out Kerwin. Referee has brought them back. That's no try. That's no try. Referee has awarded a penalty to Scotland. John Kerwin was in the corner.
Well, it was actually because they pushed the ball behind John Gallagher, who came inside Kerwin, and therefore, according to Mr. Burnett, that's shepherding or crossing behind the player. They've been quite consistent on that in the tournament. Fair call, I thought.
Let's look at it again. It came out, and Gallagher was coming in as extra man. He was left out, and yes, he obstructed number 13, Tate, in defence. Kerwin went in to score the try, but it was not awarded. Half-time, New Zealand in the lead at Lancaster Park. Referee Burnett of Ireland, who stopped the try for New Zealand just a minute before half-time when he ruled that John Gallagher was up and shepherding. Begins the second half. 3 Fox penalty goals to 1 for Gavin Hastings for Scotland. You can forget about the win. There is no win in Christchurch today, so no one gets the advantage in the second half. Laidlaw on the blind side to Wiley. That's for Gallagher coming forward. Oh, no, they've all let it bounce. That's the halfway line. Oh, it's bounced an awfully long way back. It bounced 15 metres back to Jones. To Kerwin. Well, Earl Curtin, that ball bounced about 15 to 20 metres back on New Zealand's side.
It's absolutely hard underneath that. A half inch of moving sort of soil. It is really rock hard underneath there. I walked on it earlier on, and that's why it bounced so high.
A lucky break gives New Zealand a chance to be on attack again. Paxton away to Finlay Calder, but that's intercepted by Wayne Shelford.
New Zealand is screwing the scrum. Notice how they're trying to turn it round to the left. The Scottish scrum moves round to the left on an axis.
David Kirk, New Zealand's captain. Ahead 9-3 in front of Fox. McCahill. Joe Stanley trying to kick it through. Paxton is there. He had a very good first half, Paxton. Laidlaw. Wiley. He doesn't look very natural on the left foot. Oh, it nearly went up to Ivan Tukalo. This is Ivan Tukalo, a quick throw in though. Shelford. He's done that a few times today, making that initial burst. Way to Fox. Now the big cross kick. Hastings in good position. The man with him is Matt Duncan, who's hardly had anything to do. The two fullbacks collide near halfway.
Well, this is getting exciting now. Scotland are obviously trying to run it out. They realise they have to. Back to a two-man line-out.
This is Matt Duncan, the winger, who's had very little to do in the match in the first 40 minutes. Shortened line-out call by Colin Deans for Scotland. Alan Wetton and Paxton, that's one that Wetton got. Look at Paxton go through to disrupt. Just think about the strain that these men are under, representing the rugby honour of their countries, and the penalty has been awarded. John Drake doesn't believe it.
Well, I think he changed his tune there. I think he was going to give it to New Zealand by the look of Dave Burnett. And he went round and then gave it to Scotland. He obviously didn't like what one of the New Zealanders did there on the floor.
But these players are under enormous pressure, playing for the rugby pride of their two nations, two teams with long and traditional rivalries against each other. And when the pressure is on, quarterfinals in the first ever Rugby World Cup, it could be that tempers jump a little quickly. This is Ian Paxton, who today, incidentally, is setting her new Scottish record for number 8 in internationals. And he has played an outstanding first half.
Yes, I think he's been the key to the Scottish pack. He's getting to the loose ball, and he's also denying New Zealand what we call good fast ball off the back of the line-out, because he's really competing with Alan Wetton, and I should say basically beating him.
He's got a beautiful name, Ian Angus MacLeod Paxton. Played here in the 1983 tour with the Lions, played all 4 tests, played here in 81 with the Scottish team.
I think he's a far better player now than he was when he was here with the Lions.
But back to the business at hand. New Zealand lead by 9-3. But Gavin Hastings has landed 1 goal from 1 attempt.
This is a big kick for Hastings, because it's his first 10 minutes that we all talk about, the psychological 10 minutes after half-time, where if you're down, you must score.
He's got a reputation for kicking a big goal too. He scored 18 points on his test debut. Had a shocking beginning in that game. He came out, kicked off and kicked it out on the full, but then he's kicked those 6 penalties, won the game for Scotland 18-17. 2 steps across to the left, and then he steps 1 backwards before coming in. Well, he tried a bit hard in that one, and New Zealand still holding that 6-point advantage. Fox taking the long one. Taken down there by Ivan Tukalo at halfway. Try to give it to Tate. Joe Stanley into Alan Wetton. Not many New Zealanders in the picture, but carried on by Stanley. Driving like Shelford. And here's Alan Wetton again. It's the Shelford and Stanley show at the moment. Now Kirk. Kerwin. Jones. Pierce, but it'll be a knock-on. It's okay when it's bobbling about in your hands, but as soon as it bounces to someone else's, that's the knock-on.
Well, yes, they're really driving in there, and that was marvellous driving by Jones and Wetton, and that's the New Zealand back row getting into action. Ploughing through them is the word.
Swung by New Zealand. I think it's New Zealand who was snaffled at Kirk, I think. Let's see who gets up under that, because I think that was taken by New Zealand's captain under there. No, credit where it's due. Big Buck Shelford has taken it in and won New Zealand the loose head. Right. Control. from Shelford. Oh, lost forward by John Gallagher. John Kerwin expecting the short pass, but they're not. It's not going well out there in centres, is it, Earl Curtin?
Well, look, it's a credit to the Scots. The Scots are really packing the blind side. They've obviously heard and done their homework, and they're trying to stop New Zealand on that blind, and they're hanging off rucks. They're prepared to go down to the ground so as it leaves or releases players to sit on the blind to stop Kerwin and Gallagher using that right-hand side.
The scrum is down, and New Zealand are penalised in the front row. Well, the referee has to make a decision. If he believes the two props, and there they are, McDowell and Drake, if he believes they've taken it down, then he must penalise them. It's very definitely a penalisable offence.
The only point is it's rather unusual for a side to take the scrum down there on attack. There's no point in it, basically.
It's always a debate, isn't it, when you have the put in yourself. But and that one was a Scottish put in, but New Zealand were attacking. Here's Sean Fitzpatrick. Pierce. Alan Whitten around the front.
Well, that was great yelling. You could hear that Scottish accent saying, "Ah, referee." And the referee heard him.
Big thump again by Gavin Hastings. And that's about a 45-metre gain for Scotland. Takes them out of their own half and well into New Zealand territory. So look at this battle down towards the back with number 6 for New Zealand, Alan Whitten, and number 8, Ian Paxton. Let's see if it goes there. It's gone instead to the halfway position in the line, and Fox makes the turns. I think New Zealand might be reluctant to throw it too many times down to Alan Whitten if Paxton's in this kind of form.
Well, when you're on defence, it just makes it slightly more risky, that's all, when you're in your own half.
There's the big one pitched into midfield. Taken live nicely by Finlay Calder. Now Scotland into this setup, but it's gone to Kirk, to Fox. Gallagher chasing hard, and there's the New Zealand fullback sending in a 45-metre kick. John Gallagher from Wellington. Nine minutes of playing time in the second half. New Zealand leading by 9-3, but they will be feeling extremely anxious because we're, as I don't think you need reminding, in knockout phase now in Rugby's World Cup. John Kerwin. Hastings, you'll have to play it out from there. There is absolutely no risk rugby being played here, Earl Curtin. If in doubt, kick it out.
Yes, exactly. But still there's some marvellous battles going on. Little mini battles, one might call them. The line out in particular.
Minutes of play, second half. That's a good one, secured by Wayne Shelford. Now New Zealand taking it through. There's a little struggle there. Paxton was involved, but it's cleared now to Stanley. Gallagher up. Michael Jones off Gallagher. Craig Green, 22 metres line. The big Canterbury bank giving the shout for Green. Well, underneath all this, Craig Green will get up, and that was a strong burst by him.
Yes, you notice he was trying to stay on his feet, and that's vital with the modern rule.
Kirk, 10 metres out. Jones, there's the goal line looming ahead for the All Blacks. Drake. They'll get there. No, he's just shot. Kirk again. But this time, it's a try for New Zealand, and it's Alan Whitten again, I think. That's a try in every Rugby World Cup match for number 6, Alan Wetton. You can see him there in support of this charge. And then it was John Drake, number 3, who went very close. He barrels his way up towards the goal line, gets caught by one boot and thrown down. And then Kirk, a wobbly one out to Alan Wetton, and he powered through.
Well, this was good rucking. I thought New Zealand almost lost it here, where they went in and tried to pick it up with their hands and still blowing it away. But you watch this man. Look how low he gets there. Beautiful body position to dive in for a try.
John Drake carried it on. You see how he gets caught by just one leg by Sol, his opposite number. And down it goes. Kirk was interfered with but by Matt Duncan. The pass was on the ground, and then Wetton crashed through. So there is an injury. This is Ian Paxton. Paxton having more attention to that cut on the top of his head. So that's a fantastic record. 4 tries in 4 consecutive internationals for number 6, Alan Wetton. This is a young man who was dropped from the All Blacks just 9 months ago. He couldn't get in the New Zealand team to Tour France. There were many Aucklanders who said that was wrong. And Alan Wetton has proved them to be correct in 1987. So anxiety for the Scots. They've conceded a try. Their outstanding number 8 has taken a blow on the head.
It's really a tribute to the Scottish tackling too, that they've contained Jones. He's making ground all the time, but by Jove, in the end they do bring him down.
Points now give New Zealand a 12-point advantage over Scotland. "12 minutes gone, second half, and we may now see this man, Michael Jones, come into the game more in those surging driving runs. So New Zealand scored the first try in the match, converted by Fox. Again, Hastings kicks deep, and here is Grant Fox with 11 points in the match so far. So anxious faces Ian McGeechan and Derek Grant. Kick to Gavin Hastings. Brings it forward. He can do this very well. Big kick, but it's gone too far. John Gallagher. That's bread and butter stuff from a fullback. That's the one I call room service, Earl. You don't have to go far to get it. So Scotland are desperate now. 12 points behind. The time ticking away. The long ball to midfield. That's Derek Turnbull. But he took it from a knock on by another player. There's Turnbull, his first test today, 25 years of age. See Ellen Tate, number 13. He's hardly had the ball at all in set play. Kirk. Gallagher again with the push up the touchline.
Yes, that was classic blindside play. Plenty of room on the right. That is the blind side. And easy for the halfback to run that way.
14 minutes gone, second half. New Zealand 12 points ahead and playing with a lot more coolness and confidence. Pressure on Hastings. Well, he's really so different to Andy Irvine, the last Scottish fullback that came to New Zealand. Irvine was a will-o'-the-wisp type player, an outstanding fullback, of course, but this man is a big, solid fullback, isn't he? Gavin Hastings. New Zealand playing with a 12-point cushion. Turnbull has done rather well in his debut. Laidlaw Wiley. Keith Robertson. Tate left out. Hastings up and through. Kerwin coming over. And good play by Kerwin. Covered nicely into the corner. Made no mistakes. No nonsense. Just ran it over the touchline and backed his team to get out of this tight situation. This becomes a crucial line out, Earl Curtin. Scotland ball in.
Well, yes, he's got to throw it for Paxton, I'd say. That's where he's winning most of his ball. So it'll be a long ball towards the back of the line out.
Paxton has secured it. Finlay called to number 7. It's there for Laidlaw. He's good on the blind side. He's gone instead to the open side. Robertson. Turnbull. So they've worked themselves into a more central position this time, the Scots. For again, the Scottish put in. They can go left and right. You see the posts are handy.
Just they've got to go for a big scrum.
Calder. Laidlaw. Hastings. Duncan. Shelford away. Oh, a gymnastic throw by Buck Shelford.
Well, Kirk was very unhappy there because the Scottish forwards were hanging on to him, and he quite rightly had a pull away to stop them hanging on to his arm as he was trying to get the ball away.
Alan Wetton is the man down. Thigh injury. But let's look at that again. Look at number 8 in the centre of your pitch. He does a forward roll over Duncan's tackle. Or something very gymnastic. Over go the legs. Meantime, back in the foreground, Alan Wetton had been in a collision with Matt Duncan.
Scrum, 5
Watch out. I want it. So this is going to be a big scrum. And listen to that crowd here at Lancaster Park. All Blacks, they're chanting. Shelford in control. This is what he's good at. Hard driving from the base of the scrum. Offside play.
Yes, you notice there are only three Scottish forwards really down on that, and the other 4 were all fringing.
New Zealand leading by 15 points to 3. They have scored the only try in the match. And right up the top there you see the television sets watching this coverage, the pressmen of the world here in big numbers today watching this Rugby World Cup, the first of the big quarterfinals. Shelford again. Fitzpatrick. He pushed off Colin Deans like he wasn't there. Kirk, Fox, McCahill, Stanley. Wiley and Robertson were the tacklers. Well, the bank, and I saw a hand in there, and I think the referee might have seen something else, but there was a hand in there. But it's a midfield penalty chance for New Zealand.
I saw David Kirk helping him here with a gesture as well to say, look at that, ref. Stanley should have moved that ball for all intents and purposes. It was the chances of a classic move. Gallagher was up outside, and there was a 2-on-1 situation out there, and he chopped back inside.
How many were outside him? Well, I didn't quite see that. Was there 2?
He had Gallagher and he also had Cohen, and that normally is good night nurse.
It's good night nurse. So this could just about be the nail in the coffin for Scotland's chances if this kick from Fox goes over. Putting them over. 14 points for the Aucklander, 18 points to 3 New Zealand lead. So now let's see how Scotland will react from that setback. Colin Deans, a man such a desperately keen rugby man who really loves the scent of victory, and it's a quick kick-off by Scotland. They've tried them in just about every game for the last year or so. And this indication there that Scotland trying anything for victory. Craig Green kicking ahead. Gallagher chasing through. Paxton going back. That's Tukalo, loose ball. Gary Wetton, and he lost it forth.
Yes, he just lost it. It was hard luck. I think he's a wee bit sore too, and that wouldn't help him coordinate those muscles and arms and legs and head to actually pick it up in time.
Alan Wetton on the flank, marking him on the other side is number 7, Finlay Calder. But New Zealand all of a sudden are looking good.
And scrumming well, which is something I thought before the game Scotland would have an advantage, and it's great to see.
Dowell on the near side, Drake on the far side in the second half. Ian Milne, number 3 for Scotland. David Soul on the far side. This one's gone down, and it's a penalty to New Zealand. Referee Burnett has said Scotland took it down, and you can see how close the posts are. Well, there are the two props, number 1 and number 3, and they'll be disappointed in Colin Deans as well, just almost consoling his players there as they go back.
Yes, well, they got away with the penalty sort of 10 minutes before, and I suppose it's worth another go. But Dave Burnett must have thought about that too. I can't see any point on the attacking side taking the scrum down.
No mistake by Grant Fox. The points keep coming off the Aucklanders' boot. New Zealand 21, Scotland 3. He began the day with 73 points in internationals. He's up to 90. He could nudge 100 points today, Earl Curtin.
Well, Scotland will have to be awfully brave now. The anthem will have to come to the fore, because I think that New Zealand is starting to get on top in the loose too. And now that the scrum is superior, that is the New Zealand scrum, I can't see Scotland getting too much ball unless it's fluky, airy-fairy stuff.
The short one this time. Another good kick-off, and my word, Paxton was nearly through and away. But it's there for Kirk. New Zealand are getting a stream of possession now to send the Scots back. Hastings. Caught by Jones. He didn't immediately release. But the indications were there that he was going to try to run, so Scotland are absolutely desperate now. And it's going to be another shot at goal from Grant Fox. Well, momentarily there was some in the crowd who disagreed with Fox's decision, or the decision to kick for goal.
Might I say more than some keep. It's quite a round boo almost.
Yes, look at that. Hastings was attempting to run when Jones caught him. He took it down. The ball's down. He never attempted to release. Well, he did, but not quickly enough for referee Burnett.
No, the words in the law say immediately, or the word is immediate, and that wasn't immediate.
Just close from Fox, no change to the score, 21-3. So Scotland now trying to regain some composure. They'll be shocked and shattered by what's happened to them in the second half. 15 minutes left for their World Cup chances. Taken in by Alan Wetton. Driven on by the All Blacks. Kirk, narrow side. Gallagher in. Nudged ahead by Kirk.
Yes, Gallagher just couldn't quite free that. You'd notice on the right. Took a low shot Kerwin out. Good play by the Scot wing.
Kerwin was ahead of the ball, I think, when that was kicked. Offside. So an injury. Chance to consider what we're seeing this afternoon, El Curtin. New Zealand only one try, but an emphatic performance now by the All Blacks.
Exactly. They're playing a lot with a lot more vim and a lot tighter, but then that might be also because the Scots are suddenly feeling psychologically that they've let this game slip.
It was 9-3 at half-time. It's now 21-3 to New Zealand.
Although it'd be fair to say that I don't think the Scots have really threatened in the second half.
The lineouts favoured New Zealand by 20-11. Beautifully taken by Shelford. And another penalty for the All Blacks. The actual penalty count may look a lot for New Zealand because they have they've had a lot of shots at goal. There's the Canterbury crowd giving raspberry to the New Zealand kicker, Grant Fox. But in fact, the penalty count is 12 to New Zealand and 10 to Scotland, so it's fairly close.
Well, other than the fact that New Zealand have had most of them down close to the goals, but that's been the story of the game anyhow. They've territorially dominated the game.
You know, Early scored 20 points in each of the Rugby World Cup matches so far, Grant Fox. He began with 22, then 26, then 22. He's got 17 so far.
Yes,
Incredible.
Some of those unkind pundits, I think, who've considered some of the games haven't really been tests, will have to say that this certainly has. When he gets up to 20 in this, I hope they give him due credit.
Points in 4 consecutive Rugby World Cup matches for Grant Fox, and it's 24-3.
One other feature of the game has been the fact that Dave Burnett has been very tough on Scotland today on going over the ball.
.28 minutes gone, second half. So David Soul to the left, just a two-man lineup pitched into the centre. Finlay Calder, number 7 meets number 7. New Zealand get the ball. Fox again.
Well, it's Test match rugby, and that's what you've got to do. And Scotland broke out, or broke back, one might say, against France. And I think these New Zealanders are frightened. They're capable of scoring a couple of quick tries, and they are.
So that's a short one that time from Deans. Number 4 is Derek White. Now what will Scotland do here? They've got the penalty from the line out. They're tapping it. Laidlaw trying to invent something. Oh, Wiley. He doesn't pass very well to the right, and I think he lacked confidence to do it at all. Now they're driving away again. It's gone to New Zealand again. Look at that. But another penalty for Scotland. I think we'll find Roy Laidlaw will be in for the quick one again. Wiley, Robertson. Again, it's gone to the New Zealand team. In possession is Alan Wetton. It's desperate stuff now from Scotland, and they're trying so very hard, but really at the moment there's just no way through.
No, there's not. New Zealand are playing well, but what they're still doing is they're still tackling marvellously. They're putting the guy on the ground.
That's the little lefto move. Craig Green. Kick! But the touch judge's flag was up. That's a great little move, that lefto. You usually work it closer to the line, but that's not too bad. About 40 metres out still.
Well, it just shows New Zealand scrum's going well too. They pushed forward and created space for him here on the outside. But Matt Duncan again not to be denied.
Penalty from the line out. That's a 3 or 4 in a row now in the penalty count to Scotland. So let's look now at the Scots. Yes, the worry lines are there. Faces drawn with effort. Michael James. Gary Wetton. What a run by Wetton. Fitzpatrick. That's the goal line ahead. Driven right up to the goal line. Kirk frees it. Fox. Long ball to Stanley. And Gallagher is in under the posts. A marvellous surge. This is just the end of it. Long ball from Fox. Stanley the shorter pass. And John Gallagher in under the posts. Well, John Gallagher's father has come all the way from London to watch his son play, and this is what he sees from this replay. Stanley the shorter pass. Gallagher took it on the burst and is over.
Well, that was the fastest ball that they provided all day, and that's exactly what backs need, and that's what happens when backs get that very quick ball.
Gallagher looks at the clock. The score is mounting now against Scotland, and New Zealand are now making this an emphatic victory. 30 points to 3 at the moment. Well, Hastings begins again with the big one, and now with the scoreboard showing 30 for New Zealand and 22 for Fox, it's starting to look like a walk-away here in this Test match.
Well, it's really going to be this last 10 minutes where I suggested earlier that the mobility of the total New Zealand pack will always beat, I think, Scotland today, and I thought that would happen in the last 10 minutes, and they're certainly they're basically doing that exactly now.
What a fantastic run that was, leading to the last try by Gary Wetton and Sean Fitzpatrick. But now here are the Scots flashing the ball. Robertson. Duncan let it go. He had his head up there, not looking.
Well, that's what happens. When the pressure goes on, you start making mistakes, and everything happens around you. And it nearly always seems down.
So a chance for New Zealand now, just on their own 10-metre mark. Gallagher up. End-on-end bounce. That ball is still in. It's gone parallel to the touchline, and Gallagher's got to go back and soccer kick it out.
Just as well he had some pace for going that fast forward and then he hit that through again. Not many men would have got back there, not fullbacks anyway.
Dean's throwing to White, to Laidlaw, to Wiley. Colin Dean's the leader, the captain. Better this time for Roy Laidlaw.
Well, another knock on. Again, the pressure's going on all the time from this New Zealand pack.
And there's Derek Grant. Sad situation for him. His team are beaten right out of it. 30-3. 5 minutes left, and New Zealand are through to the semi-finals. David Soul. Corner flag up ahead. Finlay Calder. Jones was secure in the tackle. Laidlaw. Wiley. Robertson. Turnbull. White. Laidlaw. Scotland looking promising. Robertson. Hastings. Tukalo. And that's a penalty for New Zealand in there.
Yes, because they crossed again and he's trying to be consistent. I thought that was unfair. That wasn't deliberate at all. It was just a bit zip, but he's being very consistent. He felt they slightly shepherded, but I felt it was very accidental, whereas John Gallagher's one earlier on was contrived.
Brian Lahore said the other day that in an international, all he can hope for is a fair chance from the referee, and he's certainly given them that today. Burnett. That one wasn't straight. Narrow side kick. Kick for Kerwin.
Yellow.
Well, there's Michael Jones at the back of the lineup, number 7. Remember, he won't be needed in the next round. He doesn't play on Sunday by choice. So New Zealand will have to have a new man in the number 7 shirt next time. Tate doesn't find Duncan, finds Hastings instead. Caught by Murray Pearce. He's a very good tackler in the New Zealand lock forward. Keith Robertson. Doug Wiley. Push through for Tukalo. Green to Kerwin. Here's where Kerwin is at his best. So too is Fitzpatrick. You see the way he bounced off the man, then bounced in field to keep it going. Kirk. Alan Wetton. Sorry, that's Shelford. So there's the unlucky man of the day for New Zealand, Warwick Taylor, but since he left the field to be replaced by Bernie McCahill, has seen New Zealand go out to a 30-3 lead. And that's a very good kick by Fox.
Yes, this is ramming it home. But in all this, one would have to say that number 8 there at the end of the line now, Paxton's had a fine tournament.
There is Bernie McCahill. Just minutes left in this match. Sad to say it, but Scotland are going to be out of Rugby's World Cup. And they'll be taking their team, their leading personalities home. but it seems not before one or two last crashes at the New Zealand defence. So this is Matt Duncan. Gallagher what a good tackle. Jones. Gallagher. Fitzpatrick. Referee says play on. Calder got it off Kirk. Two minutes left in this Rugby World Cup quarter-final. New Zealand heading for a game in Brisbane. Shelford. The breakaway by Scotland's outstanding play today. Ian Paxton hoops it ahead. Gallagher. A good long kick by Gallagher again, parallel to the touchline, and it's out. He bounced it out. Duncan in quickly. Green. Duncan again, number 14. Crazy stuff here. Hastings. Ivan Tukalo. Shelford. Green. And New Zealand have just failed to score a sweeping counter-attacking try when Joe Stanley couldn't quite take it over.
Well, it's been worthwhile waiting for it, hasn't it? The gates had to open, and it's outstanding mobility from that whole forward pack.
Look at this, a beautiful pickup here by Shelford. We'll come back to that. It's been a long kick out, but way back upfield, the referee has said the game can't restart, there's an injury. Keith Robertson isn't feeling too good. Wiley kicks out in the last moment for Scotland in the Rugby World Cup. What a brave effort they put in. Simply outgunned in the end by New Zealand. Kerwin. Jones. Kirk. Fox. Hard pass for Stanley to gain from. Kirk again. Kerwin. Just a little dink ahead. A high bounce. Kerwin plucks it out of the sky. And Robertson intercepts when Jones was looking likely. That is right in the corner. Last minute of play. The match is over as Michael Jones lunges at the line, and Scotland are out of the Rugby World Cup.